So my method is the following: is when you meet somebody and you get acquainted with them. So the way to take it to the next level is you start sharing things about yourself with them, and when you share things about yourself that are vulnerable. What you do is you're putting yourself in the other person's hand, and you're trusting them, and you're trusting that they won't exploit that and they won't abuse your trust. And it feels a little bit, it's a little bit risky, and what that does though is that it fuses you together. When you reciprocate with that trust and you don't abuse it and you don't judge me for it, or you open up in turn and share something about yourself in the same area of challenge or struggle, whatever it is, that's what bonds people. And the more vulnerable that you can get, the closer you can get with people. And you think about your closest relationships, they're the ones where people, you're okay to talk to them about things that maybe you're going through.
Or you're yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's when you strip away those facades. Now, to do that is when I said it was counterintuitive, people don't like to do it in a professional setting. They don't like to do it in a public speaking type of setting because they feel like, well, they're there to hear me talk about the newest software, or they're here to hear me talk about the company quarter, whatever it is. They don't feel that it's their place to talk about themselves. But if you remember that, when people look away, when people start to zone out, where do they go? They go usually, if they go to their phones, right? If it's not Saturday in a synagogue, they'll go to their phones. And what are they doing on their phones? They're looking on social media. And why are they looking on social media? Because they're looking for humanity. They want to see what other people are doing. They want to connect with other people. And so they'd really like to connect with you if you would allow it, but they're not allowing it.
And they're staying on the people who are being vulnerable and transparent.
Right. So you're there up there, they gave you the opportunity. You bailed on them because you thought that that's not what they wanted. And now, so they're you didn't show up for them, so they're not going to show up for you.
So I would challenge I agree 100%, but I would challenge the fact that I know how hard it is for people to be themselves.
Yeah.
And thank God, one of my skills was I was able to be very vulnerable and transparent with my company, and it built an abundance amount of trust.
Yeah,
and
I remember someone saying that they would run through walls for you. It was amazing.
I truly believe it's one of the biggest skills of influence that a leader can have if they have the ability to be vulnerable and transparent.
Yeah.
Through good times and bad times. And it came easy for me. So that was easier for me to be able to lead and communicate. I had other struggles. That one was not one of my struggles, but I've realized, and especially I learned this with everyone I worked with and in our leadership practices, how hard it was for people to talk about themselves. And I think for a couple of reasons. One, it's uncomfortable. Two, you are putting your heart in their hand. They can squash you, and they can hold it against you. They can use it against you. Yeah. But I think a lot of people don't know who they are to be able to talk about themselves.
Right.
And that's a problem too. Right. So usually if you're only getting a one-stop shop, a toast, or I get a chance, someone asks me to speak in front of everybody and they're not used to it, the thought of going up and speaking about myself is the last thing I would do. Yeah. Which is ironic because it's the first thing you're telling people to go do.
Right. Now there's degrees. I mean, you don't have to, rip open your clothes and say, here I am, you don't have to do that. But a little goes a long way. Yeah. There's degrees. You can say, I got up here, I thought I was going to say this, and I struggled with what I was going to say because I really appreciate your time and I wanted to make it important to you. And I'm nervous. I'm not going to. People are like, wow. They just want to hold you in their arms. Right. And it's amazing. So what I advise people do is at the beginning of the talk to share a struggle, a challenge, maybe a fear, maybe a regret. Maybe something embarrassing that happened to them, something that shows the human side of yourself.
Right.
And again, there's degrees. You don't have to go to town. You don't have to say, my brother abused me when I was 5, and no one wants to hear that. They just want to see who you are as a person, and then they'll buy into what you have to say, assuming that you've met the next step.